Hello.
Good evening to you. How are you?
I'm good. Happy Thursday. How are you today?
I'm well. I think you say happy birthday. I'm like, no. I think you say happy
No.
birthday. I'm well. I'm well. Although my light looks so dingy. I do have one of those green screens, but I had to add a picture and do all. I don't know how to do all that stuff, but I had this thing I pull up. There's a big green screen.
Oh, nice.
I wasn't just gonna pull it up, but then the red was anyway.
Mm, Are you
Yeah.
connected to which mic do you have?
Oh, is my mic bad? I'm in my. Wait, say which
It,
mic?
yeah, are you you're using this? Oh no, you're good. It's just a little crackly, but you're good. You're good.
Oh, you know
You
what?
you
Let me
you
switch
might
to my regular, but I'm
oh
scared to do it because then
you
it's going to say speaker, Bluetooth. So just a second.
oh yeah, no, you might be able to use your the microphone on your computer. See if that sounds good. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know.
yeah. I just
You
don't want
do.
anything to say. Oh, now reboot.
Oh,
But let's see.
you're.
I'll try something. I'll try computer microphone.
Oh, I don't hear you at all now. Of course. Of course. I can't hear you. And then I'm like paranoid, like, oh, is it mine? But no, you're good. Take your time. You're fine. Um, sorry. Um, well, I'll say hello to everyone in the chat. So Lady Navoa was here bright and early, if we could say that. She was already in the chat. Hello, lovely lady. We have beautifully animated. How are you, girl? Good to see you. Dr. Nakumbe will be back. And then we have Tina. Hello. Hello, hello. And then we have Black David in the back, as usual. He's our producer. And then, of course, this is Black Man Unfiltered Network, where he has plenty of different shows here. We have Barbershop Talk on Fridays, me and Drell and Shoo Shoo Wednesday evenings, Talk That Talk Tuesday. And then he also has a show with Security Boss on Mondays. So there's plenty of different content for all, people's favorites. But tonight, this is Breaking the Cycle with me, Coach K, and Dr. Nakumbe. And we're going to be doing part 2 of happiness. What is it and who is responsible for it? Okay, how
How
are
about
you?
now? How about now?
You sound good. You sound
All right.
good. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Thank you. Thank you. I was out buying all kind of. I have this bone condensed with everything goes around your skull. I was trying to look like you get the little mic,
Oh,
but
yeah, you're
I've been
good. As
testing things. Good.
I
All right.
know that it does take a little bit to get to figure out like, your groove or what you like because there's so much out there. But I was just saying hello to the chat, welcoming everybody in. We have also Dino Dinosaur. Hello from London. Hello, thanks for being
Wow.
here. Glad to
Hello.
see you. We also have Corey, as usual. Good to see you, Corey. Thanks for joining us. And then Jordan. Hey, Jordan. Good to see you over here. Lady Bo asked if I'm solo. Nope. Me and just for a moment, but we no our usual dynamic duo tonight. So okay, so take it away.
Thank you so much, and greetings to everyone that Coach K just talked about. Hello to you. Welcome. Thank you for being here. We have a dynamic show. There is a disclaimer. So if you haven't read in the description, we're going to be talking about real scenarios or real life scenarios. So be prepared. Some of you might get triggered. The goal is not to talk about domestic V words, not really get into it, but we're talking about communication. We're talking about how long do we stay in a relationship? What are some signs that we probably shouldn't stay? We're not only focusing on mental health, but overall mental wellness, your overall mental wellness, which is a little different than just your mental health. But again, just wanted to give a disclaimer that some of these scenarios may sound real. We don't know any of you personally, so we're not bringing. And I don't know anyone to feel like, hold on, you just told my story. We don't know your story, but it is intended to be so real that if it hits home, that's our goal. We really wanted to match the people listening. As far as people coming up today, we have so much to talk about and a little time to talk about it. But we want to bring up, when we do open it, we want to actually invite couples. So if you, a significant other, you and a wife or husband or significant other want to come up, we want to practice some of these tips we will be offering, but we want it for couples, not just our regular random individual single people who are against relationships in the first place. So that's our goal.
Right.
Again, sit back and enjoy the show, but just want to give a disclaimer. We do have a couple of videos we're going to show. We intentionally, we're not slicing them and dicing them or figuring out certain spots we're going to play. One of them is a little long. We'll play it, pause it, talk, play it, pause it, talk. The other one's pretty brief. Those are just example videos, so they aren't like clinical videos or anything like that, but they're example videos. Coach K, one of the things I want to say, a lot of times, YouTube or wherever, people are watching other videos and doing comparisons. And sometimes what I hear is you and I are in professional roles. And a lot of times people, they challenge us, not like challenging us personally, but they challenge the ideas. Awesome. We want pushback. As BMU would say, we want the smoke. But it's not so
Yes.
much to challenge research, and it's not, and we don't want to be in a position where we're challenging clinical theory. What we're saying is everything doesn't have to be this clinical mental health, psychology, coaching. There are a number of ways that people get help. There are a number of ways that you can reach out to other professionals, not just a YouTube space or not just a mental health office or not just even a video conference for coaching. There are multiple ways and there are multiple styles available to you. Anything from mirror work, um, three mirror work, uh, and now I'm frozen for the moment for thinking of the different styles. Uh, Chakras, you can work on chakras. You can do internal work. You can do astrology,
Mm,
psychology, coaching, tons of different styles of
spiritual.
coaching. Yep, spiritual. Oh, yes, spiritual. So there are a number of ways. We're only providing you like one slice of the pie. So it's not intended to be a one all fit all, one slice of the pie. If it fits you, great. If it doesn't, the smoke that we want is not about how wrong we are, about how stupid it is, or how anything like that. If that's your personal belief, great. And the reason I want to say that up front, because Coach K, sometimes people get influenced by these comments. They see that's stupid, psychology is dumb, and they get influenced. And you don't have to believe in psychology. You don't have to believe in the power of coaching, anything like that. You don't have to, but just be mindful of your comments about don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. The main
Hmm.
reason for the show, Black Man Unfiltered made it very clear. He wants a space and a community to be able to come together. He wants a space and individuals to be able to come together. He wants a space and married couples or couples to come together to receive information, support, collaboration, partnership, whatever you want to call it, for those who are having those mental wellness and healthness, mental wellness and mental health issues. We want to be able to provide that support. We want to be able to tell you what's in the industry of psychology, what's in the industry of wellness and coaching, and then be able to offer some of those tips. Remember, we're not diagnosing, we're not giving a diagnosis. We're only giving some situations, we're presenting some situations. Okay. So I just want to be clear and welcome you to this space. But today is going to be a very not so feel good fluff, tell what people want to hear type conversation. All right, Coach, you ready for that, or you have any upfront pushback,
Nope.
comments, or thoughts?
That was great.
All right.
Exactly.
So one thing I want to start with. Let me see if any comments, because I don't always track these comments. And Coach K, you normally have been doing that, so thank you.
Yeah,
But
you're
I'm
good.
going to
I got
participate in
you.
that too. All right, cool. So let's jump in. All right, first thing I want to say is we have to be mindful of what are myths and what are facts. Myths and facts. Let's be clear on the myths and the facts. Then there is the belief. I mean, there's a belief system. We all have a belief system. There's a belief that your happiness is your responsibility. There is a fact that your happiness is your responsibility. No questions. They fit on both aisles. They actually fit on both aisles. It is your responsibility to determine and measure and decide what happiness is for you. On the other side, there are beliefs. I mean, we were raised on these beliefs. Go see Mrs. Johnson and give her the paper. And when you went to or I know that's kind of sounds kind of old. I don't know if they even have newspapers anymore. But when you went and got Mrs.
Oh,
Johnson's
yeah.
coffee or newspaper, and they smiled and said, "Oh, thank you," and you felt good and you felt happy because you made someone else feel happy, that's legit. That is legit happiness. And there's a belief that what you did led to someone else's happiness. You weren't responsible for it, but what you did led to someone else's belief in happiness. If you celebrate any holidays at all, or if you don't, but when someone pours into you, if you receive a feeling of joy, excitement, pleasure, happiness, they are not responsible for giving you that, but you receive it and you feel it, that is very real. So I'm going to say it fits on both ends. Coach K, what do you think about that? That it can possibly fit the question of who's responsible for your happiness?
Yeah, I would say so. I think someone can definitely um be the object of your happiness if you want to look at it like that. Um but also too, there are things that we could, if someone says something to you that hurts your feel, like you want to feel upset about, then to follow it to the logical conclusion, they could also make you happy too. If they
Mhm.
have, but I want to stress that, you know, we want to feel upset about things if something happens. Likewise, we want to feel happy about certain things. But I do agree with you. Unfortunately, some things just aren't cut and dry, and it depends. And that's what I love, examples, and I love questions, because it really helps that person get the clarity, but also so we can really, I guess, give more insight into what we mean when we use these examples, or when
Mhm.
we talk about happiness. And I
Mhm.
did also look up a definition, or not a definition, but um, now I saved it. Now I don't remember where I got it
Okay.
from. But do you care if I share it?
No, please
I think it
do.
was in one of my books. I'm always reading all different types of stuff. Okay, so it says happiness is argued it's a two-part equation achieved when we find the right balance of meaning and pleasure, and when we are engaged in an activity that has both present and future benefit. These are pursuits that both absorb us and require us to contribute to the world beyond ourselves. So, meaning and pleasure. So, a balance,
Mhm.
so that we could get more concrete when we talk about the relationships. But yeah, I just want to throw
Okay.
that out there.
I was starting to type it. Happiness is a two-part equation. Then I got left in the dust.
I'll put it in the back chat.
All right, all
I'll put it
right.
in the back
I was starting to put up there for people. I will put it up there in a second.
chat. Oh,
Oh, wow. Okay, I was gonna say, whoa, holy bucket! Someone put that was you. All right. So I'll put
yeah,
this up.
I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, cool.
Let me
Okay,
look it
fine.
up. Let me try to figure out where I got that, because it was from the other day. I
Yep.
shared it for this conversation.
Okay, cool. So two-part equation. achieved when we find the right balance of meaning and pleasure. So this again is a perspective, and it can either land for you as fact or it can land as in a belief. Either one is fine. But we want people that if it lands for you, if it feels good, then that's your sweet spot. Let it land. If it doesn't, if you reject it, no worries, no worries. Couple of things that happiness is not. It is not someone's responsibility to make you happy. If you change your behaviors and if you change for someone, that is on you. No one owes you anything because you changed some behaviors that were destroying or destructive in your relationships. If you made changes, if you stopped an addiction, you stopped smoking and stopped drinking, and you want to be a better person, that's great for you. And it might bring some satisfaction to your partner, but they don't owe you anything. Now, if they say, I want you to lose some weight, and you decide to lose some weight, and it's an understanding, it's an agreement, then obviously that's nice to receive some acknowledgement. But if you on your own decide to lose some weight and then say, see, I lost some weight, you should be happy. That no one owes you that happiness. No one owes you that happiness. No one owes you. I've had people say parents should tell you this and tell you that, and they owe you an explanation. Like they owe you an explanation so you can be happy. Now, I agree, and we've heard Scam Likely on here before say parents will always say, because I told you so, and not give a definition. Got it? I believe in that as well. But as far as when parents are working hard to provide you an element of security, they don't owe you happiness. They don't owe you happiness. They're offering you a measure of security so that you can live, so you can survive, you can get to the point where you feel content and that you do feel some happiness, but it is not owed to you. A couple of other areas when you think about what should happen at work. The employer does not owe you happiness. If you have a good, fun work environment, woohoo, that's awesome. They don't owe you happiness. What they will owe you or give to you is compensation for the work. They will give you compensation for the work. It is a bonus if you are in an environment that feels good and everyone is happy. They don't owe you happiness. All right. Any thoughts to that, Coach K?
I think that's great. I mean, the biggest thing is if you, again, taking it to its logical conclusion, if someone owes you happiness, then that means that they are the source of that happiness, which then means they can take that away and you are reliant on that person for
Yes.
that said happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a place that I don't think we want to be, because how can we truly be, and this might be a buzzword, but authentic
Mm-hmm.
when we have to make sure that that person is, happy so that they can, be in our life and make us happy.
Right. But now be
So,
careful
yeah.
because in relationships there are people who know that you come with a degree. You come with a degree of dissatisfaction. You come
Mm-hmm.
with a degree of dissatisfaction. You come with a degree of doubt that the relationship will be successful. But where you got that from, the core of where you got that from, now yesterday, whose show was on? Mandrell's show and Shushu. I actually gave an example where I didn't go back in the past. I talked about recent, so not any type of childhood stuff. Carl
Mm-hmm.
Rogers, Dr.
Mr.
Meeting
Rogers?
people for Rogers, meeting people for where they're at. So when I meet you for where you're at, so as a
Hmm.
client, when you come in, just where you're at in your thinking, where you're at in your perception, meeting you for where you are and believing that you got that way for some reason. You feel comfortable being that way for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
So when I get into a relationship and I get to know you and I start to learn about you, at what point do I recognize that's my sweet spot? So me as a therapist or dating someone who says, "Oh, I have some problems," do I see that as a warning or do I see that as a sweet spot? Meaning, oh, they'll need me to fix them. Do I see that as a warning or a sweet spot? So going into it, I either hear it as opportunity in my mind, I'm taking it as opportunity, unannounced to you. And then if I provide some level of satisfaction to you and you feel happier, you were already at some point before you met me. Doesn't mean you were happy. But if I help or participate in you feeling happier, if you're unable to sustain that, if you're unable to
Mhm.
sustain that, then you become codependent,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
You need me to, and how come you don't anymore? And you used to, and I thought you cared. When did I stop caring?
Yeah, what
You don't,
happened?
you don't make me laugh like you used to. So I agree with you, Coach K. At some point, wherever that measure is of happiness,
Mhm.
a bulk of that is your ability to find happiness or contentment in your life. Whatever I add is a bonus. But if I take that away, if
Mhm.
it goes away, I'm not talking about sad feelings if a breakup, but if I take that away, does that
Right.
destroy you? Are you
Does
able
yeah,
to?
does that
Mhm,
take away all of your happiness pretty much? Or
mhm.
any source of it, I guess.
Question. I work a
Yeah.
job 10 years.
Mhm.
I get laid off. I'm super depressed.
Mhm.
Is that about my happiness?
What is what about your happiness? You're feeling
I'm
depressed
Yeah, I feel
from
depressed. I'm like like I'm just stuck. Was that because my happiness, a job I loved, a job that I really, really liked, my source of happiness, in addition to my money and stuff, but the source of my
Mhm.
happiness is gone. I'm out of it.
I don't think it's see, that's where I give that person, you, the power because it's like, no, that's something that you felt like you had to have, fulfilling good thoughts about to be happy because someone else could be at that job and
Hmm.
not be happy. So it's not the job itself. Now,
Hmm.
there is going to be some sadness,
Hmm.
obviously, aside from the monetary,
Hmm.
loss, but I mean, that was a part of your life, so there would be that loss. But no, I don't think it has to do with I forget how you phrase your question.
Hmm. Well, because if I get laid off and now I don't have this sense of purpose, and then that was
Right,
really my happy space. That was my really,
right.
that was like I go
Yeah,
to work
okay.
and and I lose that job. Now I'm down and depressed.
Right. See, and that's where some people might get tripped up is if you put the source of it, the root of your happiness in that place,
Mm-hmm.
then of course you're going to feel lost and stuck for a long time or whatever
Yep.
happens.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to say, and I got this from another coach, but you take your mind with you. So,
If you move to Alaska, you take you with you to Alaska, right?
mhm,
So here's a thought. Here's just a thought for people. If it lands,
yeah.
great. If not, I understand. But here's a thought. It's our identity. When you develop this identity and you find happiness in there. Let's make a soup. Let's make a
Stu?
stew, right? In that stew is my sense of purpose. In that stew is my craft. In that stew is my magic. Is my ability to do X, Y, and Z, and sprinkled with my happiness. The stew, and once you break that down, if you say, well, happiness played a component, but it was your ability to do that job that makes you feel good. It's your ability to provide that leads to you feeling good. It's your sense of purpose that leads you to feeling good. And when you put all that together, and on top of that, you're getting paid for something that you like to do, or someone's receiving a good whatever on the other end of what you're doing, that's what leads us to a perception, a perceived thought of happiness. We perceive that is our happy space. Now, how happy you get with that, how high you want to be with happiness. I need a promotion. I need more money. I need the corner office. I need this. Well, because I'm not happy. I'm not happy. You guys changed the rules. I'm not happy. But the core of the happiness was your sense of purpose, was your
Mm-hmm.
craft, was your ability, was your what you bring and put into the stew. Above that, when you're looking to be happier, what is that about? Is that more about human comfort? Is it more about human comfort more than psych or mental wellness and happiness? Human
Mm-hmm.
comfort.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
And what even is that about? That that comfort, whatever it is that you're wanting to get to the next thing. And it reminds me too, where people, we all do this. I've done this where it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to be happy until I get to this place,
Mm-hmm,
until I get to this end goal. Okay, so
mm-hmm,
then what happens? And people, whether it's money, a lot of times, um, a relationship, even marriage, I'm not going to be happy until I get this thing, until I graduate. And then they just keep pushing the end goal to, another 10 feet, for example.
right.
But you don't have to get to that point to feel happy. And I would also argue you're you have less of a chance to get there when you believe that you have to be miserable
Mm-hmm,
until you get to that place. How are you going to be taking the actions when you're feeling miserable, or
mm-hmm.
whatever it's going to take to get there?
What if I'm using it as a challenge? Like when I feel miserable, when I'm in a
Mm-hmm.
panic, when I feel under pressure, when I work best under the gun. What if they're
Mm-hmm.
using it as motivation? What are your thoughts?
That's not sustainable, and I think that's an excuse.
Mm, mm-hmm,
What do you think? Then I'll uh,
mm-hmm.
break it down. What do you think?
Me personally,
Procrastination too. I'm a procrastinator. Like they came out of the womb a
yeah.
procrastinator.
Oh, well, a lot of people, and you guys can do the research, procrastination is actually rooted in trauma.
Okay.
So,
Well,
procrastination, but people who are claiming that they were just about to, right? They
yeah,
were
that's
just
just how
about
they
to.
are.
Yeah, those are good excuses. Those are good kind of labels to put up there because they're not really digging deep enough to figure out what the true issue is. So
Right.
it's easier, and it may be real for them. I don't want to
Right.
sugarcoat it. It
Right.
seems very real. I was just about to. No, seriously, what I got to do first. Um, Speak. Okay, so Shushu and Mandra had a very good show yesterday, and I forget the doctor that they brought up, but Mandrell talked about how he had a client. He put on weight to help that client to kind of to partner with them, to pair with them, and then we'll
Yeah.
lose it together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So with that idea, what if that client says, "Well, I'm not you, and I'm going to do what you're doing." So like they're using these excuses, right? And Mandrell's like, "I'm showing you proof it works." Yeah, but see, that's because you're used to. Well, that's because you know how to do this. You must have done this before. So they're throwing out all these flares
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
excuses, but that's not really their true fear is really about getting in there and doing the work, but they may not realize that. So they throw
Yeah, or
these
that they're gonna
flares out.
fail.
Yes, yes. So that's my belief. What were you gonna? What's the smoke you bring? What's the fire?
No, I agree. I
Mm-hmm,
think when people say that they work well under pressure, I think that that's just a story.
mm-hmm,
Because how much better do you feel when you get your work done ahead of time? Or it's just setting boundaries for yourself, setting a limit
mm-hmm.
so that oh, that's good. And actually, sorry, I was reading that.
Hmm.
We'll address that, I'm
We'll
sure.
get to that. Hmm.
But when people say, I work well under pressure, I wait till the last minute, I always get it done. But is it sustainable though? Is this like how you like to, is this really the best work? Like, is this the only option? Because as a coach, I would argue it's not. We could probably come up with examples where it's not, but also too, let's say you have a homework assignment due Thursday and it's Tuesday night, and usually you wait till Wednesday night. Why not set that time limit Tuesday night from 6:30 to 7:30? There's your pressure. Get it
Hmm.
done. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And then
Hmm.
you're not waiting till the last minute. And I'm sure we could even bring up the anxiety and the cortisol levels of doing so. But you're just not managing your time.
So I do it early, but my
Mhm.
limiting beliefs and inadequacies, I redo it over and over and over. I keep opening it. I keep going back to it. I keep checking it. I keep making sure. If
I've
I
had
wait to the
clients like
last
that.
second, I don't have to do that. If I wait to the last second, when I wait to the last second, the sense of relief. If I get it
Mm.
done early, let's say my sense of relief is like, when I wait to the last second, holy, got it in just in
Oof.
time. 3, 2, come on, god damn it, this is 3.
That's making my heart rate kind of go
Yes,
up just
yeah.
thinking about it.
Right. For some people, their
But
heart rate is like, holy shit. But for some people who actually have that as an excuse or as a reason, they do get a certain, okay, let's go back
mhm.
to, I said procrastination
Just
comes from the root of trauma.
yeah.
If I've been told at all and I subscribe to it, if I actually subscribe to I'm a piece of shit, if I actually ever subscribed to, if I don't do anything around here, clearly you won't get it done. If I ever hear that and subscribe to it as a child,
Mhm.
if I ever subscribe to, all right, who has the answer? And then, but while my hand is up, the person next to me puts their hand up after
Mm.
and they get chosen.
Mm.
Clearly, me putting my hand up first was the dumb thing to do. So I already have it locked in my brain. Well, shit, why am I putting my hand up?
Right.
And
Right.
I might even argue. Like there are kids who be like, man, he just put his hand. I didn't. My hand was
Right.
already okay. But the messaging that's in the brain, the reward for the kid that put their hand up last is
Mhm.
equal or even better to when the time I had my hand up first.
Mhm.
The getting the assignment done in last second, that feel good is just as exciting as the person who likes to get it done early. And in fact, my argument is the person who gets it done early is to avoid anxiety, not even
Yeah.
for celebration. It's not even
That's a
for
fact.
celebration. It's for anxiety.
That's a
Like,
fact.
all right, got that done. Let's see. And let me when I'm
Yep.
getting mine done for accomplishment. Like, oh,
Mhm.
got it done.
That's
Now again,
pleasure. That's
yeah, it's
sustainable
pleasure.
pleasure.
It comes from, but I get what you're saying also. How many times do I have to keep doing that? And how many of those do I have in me? And then if I don't meet the deadline, how much do I beat myself up? Fuck, damn it. Ah, whoa. So that's no longer about this additional pleasure. That's like your baseline.
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
were you were beating failure. That's what. So the person who was trying to beat anxiety, whew, got that done. The other person is
Mhm.
trying to beat failure, like the race against time. So
Yeah.
the messaging, procrastination. If you were in an abusive home, if you were in an abusive home, if you were in a home where dad was drunk or mom was whatever, and you eventually now you either sit in the car for 2 hours extra before you go in the house, or you ever go to bed quickly to try to avoid trouble, or you ever go to bed like
Mm.
late, late, late because you have one of those parents that'll still come in the room at 1 in the morning. Bam! Oh, you thought I forgot? And you're just
Right.
terrified. even at 1 in the morning. So you start developing these coping strategies to deal with that. And you
Mm-hmm.
learn going last. When you drive a
Mm-hmm.
car and you back in so you're always able to get out. You back in so you're able to go out. You sit in the room and you refuse to have the door to your back. I don't like where. So those things come into play, and your happiness is when you feel safe. Your happiness is determined on safety, not even about being content or joy or pleasure, is about safety. That's why a married couple can come and see me and say things like, if I say, well, are you happy at home? Damn happy. They totally dismiss it. Damn happiness. I need him to pay the bills. He's just laying around. Damn happiness. Well, if he paid all the bills, then what? Then we're good. They don't even see it as happiness. They see it as, why should I celebrate you for doing what you're supposed to do?
Right. I have heard that.
Why? I mean, that's not. So again, some people who are who are raised to believe safety equals this, who are raised to believe this is where we're content and we're good. We're good. If you were told eat all your food on your plate, there are people who are in Africa who are starving.
Right.
So I fail if I don't eat all my food. And now when I'm an obese adolescent because I make sure I got every drop in, then what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So my level of happiness is determined on what I thought was full or what you
Mm-hmm.
told me full should be. If you made my plate, if you made my plate and then told me I had to eat all this, you made my plate and I have to eat it all. So I'm being conditioned to make you happy, you satisfied that I ate all the food. I'm not talking about
Right.
like good small portions. I mean like you fill the plate because you feel proud you made this food, blah blah blah. There you go, eat it up, get it all, get every drop. There you go. There you go. If I'm doing it for you to be satisfied, then guess what?
Mm-hmm.
I grow
Mm-hmm.
learning, and this is why people get into that. I'm responsible for your happiness.
Mm-hmm. Another one is when kids are younger and, you know, the parent says, go say sorry for hurting their feelings.
Hmm. Yes, yes.
Right. So yeah, it gets ingrained in us to do that. And then you comes people pleasing and all the rest. But yeah, yeah.
Now, as an adult, now you start having a voice, and now you start having choice. So
Oh,
we're talking
an
about a
adult,
right. An
correct.
adult has voice and choice. So as a kid, I had to eat it all. I had to do this. Newer generation, they get a little more pushback. They get to do some different things.
Right.
But as an adult, now I have voice and choice. So the question is, well, when do you recognize that you have a voice and a choice, and do you stay or do you play? You have a voice and a choice, and do you stay and do you play? At what point do you recognize that this is a healthy relationship? At what point do you recognize you should get out? Not because of happiness, but because of safety. Not because
Mm,
of happiness, but because of safety. Now, when my partner is going to provide an element of happiness, we bring each other joy and pleasure. We just knowing I'm in a relationship, I'm happy. I have someone to love me,
yeah.
right? But you ever know those couples where the guy? I know some people where I live. They are interracial dating,
Hmm.
and I won't say what gender. I mean, what race is what, but the one person is largely obese and maybe not the prettiest in the face, but they got some stuff between the waist, and so that person takes him out way out. They take him like, like they take him like 100 miles out of the city, the proper city proper, to take him to a movie. They take him way out. They don't want anyone to see him, right? And now that same
Hmm.
person can provide those same benefits, like pay for the meal. A lot of the again, you don't have to be in an interracial relationship, but the stereotypes and the benefits of like some interracial relationships, the female is going to pay for his meal. Now, and some
I
people
know you're talking
they
about, yeah.
right, they're proud to have their. Now I'm gonna just talk real. I'm gonna just talk real. I'm proud to have my white girl paying for my meal. There you go, good girl, right? That just feels good. But I
Right.
happen to get one who, if the fellas saw her,
Yeah.
right, they just watched Sesame Street and they saw, hippopotamus, and then or Snuffleupagus or whatever, and then they see, and now I'm now comparing my belief on what makes you think I'm a good person, what makes you
Mm-hmm.
think what's hot and not, and out of
Mm-hmm.
my embarrassment. So how come I'm super happy if I'm in town with the boys and just super like, mm, I'm even playing it off like, no, I got it, babe. No, babe, you don't have to. But I'm super
Right.
happy when she's just right, what they call a dime piece or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm cool. Why is that happy? But those exact same behaviors with someone who I don't think fits the look, why is that not happy? Why am I afraid and miserable and hiding and dodging? And then why am I staying in the relationship?
I would say it's based on what you make that mean. So, what does that mean for you to have this dime piece? What is that?
Right?
What does
Status,
that?
right?
Yes. What do you think other people may think about you and what you're, capable of and what you achieve? And that happiness, and it's coming from that place,
Yes.
not
So the
necessarily you're
person,
happy just being with them.
yes,
Go ahead. Yeah,
is
go ahead.
is the no. I'm following your lead with the status makes me happy, not the person.
Correct.
The
Correct.
status makes me happy, not the person. They look good and
Mhm.
she's a bombshell, and yes, she can make me happy. She can add to my happiness, but I'm more excited, enthused. I'm more
Mhm.
empowered by the potential
Mhm.
status. We get into movie stars and rock stars and people who have status. We're about the status. I know Kevin Garnett. I know we drop names because of the perceived status that it gives me. That might be the core of the happiness because I have a Porsche, because I have a Mercedes Benz. And pending the realm I'm in, my Ford Festiva might not give me the same status. However, if I'm in the hood and I use my Ford Festiva as the ghetto Uber
Mhm.
for the people who don't have a car, my Ford Festiva is the shit. Quit playing. Quit playing. My Ford Festiva is the shit. Quit playing. But now if I go
Right.
out to dinner somewhere, some high class area, I now all of a sudden feel depreciated because I only have a Ford Festiva. For those who really care, some people will pull right up in the what's it called when they come and get your keys? What's it called? A valet. They pull
Oh,
right up in your
valet, yeah.
with their rusted bucket. There you go.
Right.
Park my hey, don't park my shit next to anything close. I don't want no dents in my door. Right? Some people don't care.
Yeah, yeah.
Some people
Well,
don't care.
and that's how you know it's not the object, and it's not the object being also that person,
Yes.
because we can think of so many different examples of someone feeling happy or feeling the opposite or whatever. It's
Yes.
what they make that mean and where they're deriving their happiness actually
Right.
from.
And we have to be careful. People will sell you a bill of goods. They will commit to something in the beginning and they don't sustain it. So I can offer you things in the marriage, but then flip on you. People change the job description in the middle of the night and they don't offer these things. But when it comes to happiness in a relationship, it's the micro things that I'm pushing away from. It's the micro things. Let's go back to me as a kid being told, "Oh my gosh, you're not that smart of a kid." Okay? Now I'm in a relationship with you. Every single time I believe I failed you, I'm taking on that micro failure and it's building up. When I'm telling you I'm not happy, it's not about you. It's about the fact that I keep disappointing. I keep I continue to do what it is that caused me to be a problem in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
The micro times that is happening builds up and I'm not happy. I committed to you even though I knew you had kids. But I really don't want the responsibility of kids. But I want you. So I commit to you, but not the responsibility of the kids. And you are doing everything that you believe you should do and want to do in a relationship, and we're rocking it fine. But my internal processing about the kids and the kids and the kids, like, and the kids, wow, the kids, I'm now telling you I'm not happy. And you're like, what the world? I'm doing everything for you. What's going on? I crack your toenails at night. I mean, you crack your toes at night. I rub your back. I rub you, like I'm doing everything. I thought we had, and little did you know, unannounced to you, my happiness was gauged on me believing that I can't serve these kids. And if we have poor communication, if we're not being honest with each other, if we're not being truthful, if we don't even recognize where that's from, the next thing you know, I'm telling you, I can't do this. And you're stuck like, what did I do? But at the beginning of the relationship, I was just so excited about being with you that I even, the kids, the kids, all right. So speaking of that, Coach K, question is, at the beginning, if you say you have kids, and I don't want that, do I say that at the beginning, or do I wait till I get some cuddles with you?
You say it at the beginning. It's like people have, and on YouTube we talk about relationships all the time. It's one of my favorite topics. But I will say, you, the individual, have to decide that for yourself and to know where you stand, because otherwise you're letting the situation or that other person dictate it for you.
I don't want to
And
miss
then
out on
what?
the opportunity of laying next to you.
Well, then you either miss out on the opportunity or you decide to change your mind about the kids and take what
Right.
it comes with it.
Okay.
That is up to you.
Okay. I say watch the manipulation. That even to myself, I'm manipulating myself into the situation. I'm so like, oh yeah, you lying to myself about the kids. Now, kids can be fun,
Yeah.
but if I know going into this, see, if I'm only visioning kind of a one night with you or 1 week with you or however long this physical connection can happen, but I'm not computing about the time with the kids, the investment with the kids. I'm not computing that. So at what point do we actually say these things? We have a video clip.
That's a good point.
CBN, if you have the just a few clip to show the folks, see what people in the chat.
How many kids you have?
Oh, I have a couple few.
No, a couple few. Okay, couple few.
Yeah, this is a nice place.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many is a couple few?
How many do you think a couple few is?
I definitely would love to have some kids with you. All right, you looking real fertile.
Oh, thank you.
So,
Yeah.
if you was to have, one with me, and then plus, your couple few, what would that number be?
You want that actual number
Yeah, the actual number, because
of one with you plus what I already
yeah,
have.
what you already have, it's like detrimental.
Okay, that would be 8. Yeah.
Hey, how many baby daddies you have?
I have 7. 7, and I know how it sounds.
Right, you say your car was out in the front?
Yeah, I parked where you told me to.
Okay, all right, yeah. Well, let's go out to the car. Right, I'm gonna take you to the car. I'm gonna escort you
Oh, okay.
to the car.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna escort you. Yeah.
I'm gonna leave my stuff here, right?
Not.
No, you're taking your stuff with you.
Oh, just a couple of you.
Couple few.
Now, in that video, I mean, he decided right away. Oh, actually, if you heard the way I received it, okay, you have kids. So he adjusted like, okay, how many? A couple of few. He had to clarify. Like, what does that mean? Now, how come she didn't just say the number up front? So on both ends, her couple of few and his, what does that mean? And then they have to break it down. So, okay, Your couple of few, then let's see if you and I had one, what would that number end up being?
Right. He had to like
8?
subtract, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, 8. How many babies that?
Right, right.
How many baby daddies do you have? A 7. All right, I'm gonna escort you.
Right, right, right. He was like, oh, that's a no. That's a no.
Right. Are we honest with ourselves? I mean, that was an extreme 8, but are we honest with ourselves enough to know right up front? I mean, if you think about it, she has 7 kids already, so most likely she's willing to engage in those type of behaviors. 7 different men, 7 different men. So if I just want to get some, you say, well, after 7 kids, it might be, I mean, I'm not minus all what I think the shape of it is and all that. I'm just saying, if I'm thinking I want some, and then now I determine that, not the kid.
Mhm.
But in that video, he clearly was like, yeah, I'm going to escort you out.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder if, let's say, realistically, it was less. Let's say a guy is okay with having, dating someone with kids. Let's say, are we talking about dating or just getting some?
Hopefully, all right.
We'll say
Well, dating to build the
dating, probably.
marriage.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
dating, probably. They would actually care. Okay, so it's like, well, what if you're okay if she has kids, but you haven't really thought in your mind, well, is this a deal breaker? What's this standard that I have for myself? Then you might be willing to waver, especially on the spot, especially if, let's say, the intercourse is good or whatever. But then again, are you saying no to yourself because actually you realize that's not what you want? That's not something you're willing to settle for or to commit to, and then that's not fair to that person,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
then down the road
Right.
it's probably not going to work out, I guess, whatever.
I also say, because happiness takes time to build. Some people's happiness takes time to build. But that intro, how significant is the intro? If we say our partners add to our happiness, but what's going on in the mind right at the beginning that leads us to believe this person will be possible to add to happiness? I say it's still perception, but Coach K, if I'm looking at you and we have an opportunity to date, we didn't get to the point yet where we bring each other happiness. I'm talking about upfront, I'm believing something. Why am I even giving you a chance? Why are you even giving me a chance? What is that perceived belief?
That it's possible, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
that
The
you,
benefits,
yeah,
the
yeah,
job
that
we work. So go ahead.
no, you go
No,
ahead.
go ahead. Do we what? Go ahead.
I was going to say, like, that when you see, like, that person meets, the first whatever standards, that you are like, okay, that this is something that that's going to add to. I mean, obviously I'm not objectifying people. They're not objects, but they are
Right.
something that we are loving
Yep.
or feeling happy about. We're choosing to have in our life.
Yep.
So, yeah,
Okay.
but you go ahead.
I said that initial part is critical. That initial part is critical. If you, first of all, know yourself, know what you're willing to do, what you're not willing to do, know what you're willing to accept, what you're not willing to accept. And that intro will play a role. It doesn't matter if they came out with you with flashy whatever. It doesn't matter if they came with you whatever. It doesn't matter if you met them at church. It doesn't. What you know you need and want, and what you know you're able to give out. I think that's critical for you to know. We have another clip for you where you can put it however you want, as the male approaching the female approaching the guy, but just wanted for entertainment purposes and for education, and we'll chop it up here. Can you send the second video? Play the second video.
As hell. God damn.
I'm pretty good yourself. Come talk to me.
Okay, bet that. What's up with you, shorty? Love me some brown
Spin real
skin.
quick?
A spin?
Yeah.
Can't even do it for you. Keep it a buck. Can't do that.
Alright, you looking thick from the front anyways.
Oh.
What you come over here talking to me about?
Hey, I just wanted to get to know you, you know what I'm
Are you
saying?
trying to get
Like
a relationship?
a relationship?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just want to know you first, you know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, I really was just trying to like.
Trying to hit? I mean, that's good too.
Damn. I mean,
I wasn't even really trying to be in a relationship. I just had to make sure
What?
you wasn't trying to be in a relationship. I don't really be doing that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not just gonna say that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
For real. I mean, we could next Friday work out pretty good for me. And then if you can't do
damn.
that, we could do Monday maybe. Monday
moving
works better
fast as
actually.
hell. I'm not gonna lie. I'm busy. You know?
Busy?
Yeah.
What you mean?
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I'm actually good keeping the
You
buck
came
with
over here
you.
to talk to me.
Yeah, I'm straight though, for real. Yeah.
You not fucking
Damn,
with me?
bro. I said I'm
You not
good,
fucking
bro.
Come
Bro, I
on.
said I'm good.
Obviously, I got the juice. I'm trying to show it to you.
Show me what?
You want to suck a black girls? Come on.
Ooh, that is so interesting.
Yeah.
But I like the questions. Not that it would be that blunt, but because we do, you know, just as not awkward human beings, but there is an intention behind what we're doing. And I think
Mhm.
that's good to get that clear and upfront.
Yes.
Not so blunt, but yeah, so that you're both on the same page, because otherwise, what are you doing?
There's the one who will meet you at the club and say up front, I'm physically attracted to you. I don't know jack about you. I'm physically attracted to you. And have that conversation. What's up? And then there are others who, you know, there's the whole entertainment, the whole like build up, the whole, I'm not talking about shy versus whatever, but that whole, but why can't we have those open, honest conversations? Are you looking for marriage? Are you looking for some ass? Are you looking for a commitment? Are you looking for just some fun? Are you looking to be able to contribute to what I have and what I bring? Are you looking to, what are you looking for? Why are you looking for it? Mm-hmm.
And find out for yourself, because now I'm sure there are examples on this or in this space that they say, well, if this person does this, this, and this means this. I think you should find out for yourself, because you don't know for sure. You don't want to, you know, set yourself up to fail, or maybe miss out on someone who's totally, you know, ready to commit, because someone on YouTube say, well, let's say, well, if a woman has a degree, she's not going to want to get married, or she's going to take all your money. Like, okay, maybe, or maybe not. Like, I have a degree and I don't ever plan on taking my husband's money ever, ever. So,
Right.
you know, just you don't want to, like, you know, take a long time from a place of like, well, I don't want to be alone, because that's a whole nother thing. But be upfront and also give that person a chance to at least answer or whatever, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. But
Mhm.
yeah.
So here, I'm gonna cook here in a second.
Oh, you're good.
All right, so here's what I want to add, which may be triggering for some folks, or trigger alert, trigger alert, trigger alert. We often are, some people are suspicious. Some people are delusional. Some people have mental health issues that get in the way of them being able to critically think and to problem solve. Critically think and problem solve. There are other things in the way of that, so they can't do it effectively. When we're talking about committing to a person who's going to be in my personal space, who's going to know my personal information, who I'm possibly most likely going to be vulnerable around. I'm talking about real relationships, to the point where we can connect, that if I'm in the hospital, you're my person that I'm putting on the emergency contact. We're talking about if we were to go somewhere and get invited, you are the person that I want. If there are kids involved, you are the person that I trust to be around my kids. I'm talking about the type of relationship where you're developing a connection that is far beyond just some highs and buys and kisses and whatever. We're talking about connecting. If you are unaware of what you bring into that relationship, you might very well be the cause of the relationship problems. You have to know what you are bringing into that relationship. And it is dishonest of you to bring something into a relationship and not share with that potential partner. we talk about like diseases and illnesses such as like HIV or herpes and stuff like that. We barely talk about that with people we meet. Now the question, when do I
Right.
tell someone? Is it the first meeting? Hey, what's up, baby? Hey, just so you know, I have. No, I'm not talking
Right.
about right. Of course, you have to know when to talk about it, how to talk about it. Mental health, offenders. You know, I work with offenders. You know, many times we
Mm.
had those discussions about when should you be telling this
Oh,
potential
yeah.
partner that you're an offender, and especially now that you hear that they have kids, and if you've
Ooh.
been offending, boom.
Ooh.
Then what about the kids side? Once they get to know you and they develop a understanding of you, they develop respect for you, they develop curiosity about you, they develop this desire to be around you. One of the persons, I think it was T, I saw the question about kids and happiness. What do we say to them? Because in that
Right.
dating situation, how much of it is I'm the parent and I decide who, when I'll have. But then there's the other part. In fact, I just learned this a few months ago. I should say learned it. It was an excellent reminder. The person was like, "No, you don't just get the my kid take." And I'm like, "It's your relationship. You're the adult. Why can't you just?" But it does take some common sense. It does take a person to be responsible. It does take for that parent to gauge when that kid is going to be exposed to that type of stuff. And it's not about their happiness. It's not even about my happiness. In fact, my dedication is about their security. My dedication is about their ability to function in this home, in this relationship, as their parent, not about just some feel good for me. So those
Right.
bringing people home in the middle of the night, no, we don't. We're not doing that. Those that say, "Well, I'm the adult here, and when you become an adult, you can have your own relationship," but you have to take into consideration what the kid is observing, what the kid is understanding. Aren't we itching and complaining now that the schools
Right.
are showing our kids things that we don't want, but we also have to apply that in our own homes. Are we showing kids things that we don't want? And what their version of happiness is if it interferes in their safety. Isn't it fun to
Right.
splash in the tub, but you have to know how to be safe in there? Isn't it? Well, I won't say it's fun, but you know those things on the wall that provide power to your lights. Some people think it's fun to stick a pencil or something in it,
Oh.
right? So what we consider fun, but fun is one thing, happiness is another. So my
Right.
opinion is when we're talking about happiness, that we first understand where in that spectrum of happiness are we talking about. This keeps us content, this keeps us satisfied, this keeps us feeling joy. This is the good, what do you feel is happy for you, and what will make you happier? What feels happy to you? What makes you happier? And then understanding too much of a good thing might not be a good thing. So at what point do we cap
Right.
out? At what point do we
Right.
cap out? You can go for extra, but do you need the extra? You can go above and beyond, but does that hurt you more than? So
At
again,
what cost? Right.
yes.
Yeah, and I think what comes to mind is let's say a parent, they have a hard stop on letting people come over or whatever at night, but they meet someone who they really kind of want to bend the rules for, or let's say someone who, like, they're afraid if they don't let that person stay or come over that they're going to lose that person. Well, at what
Mhm.
cost? What are
Right.
the risks? And is this someone, this is one of my favorite questions, is this someone that you want to be with or commit to who isn't okay? They're okay
Hmm.
with kids, but they're not
Hmm.
okay with you having rules that are for
Hmm.
your kids' protection. Is that someone, so you're willing to risk that to make, to keep that person happy, to be happy yourself maybe as they come over, but is that someone you actually want to be with at the end of the day if
Hmm.
they are not okay with your rules?
When you're desperate, yes. When you're pitiful, yes. When when you can't lay down the rules and have poor boundaries, or maybe even a coward, you know what I mean? Like calling someone a name. I mean, like cowardly, they can't do it. Then those rules get bent. Those boundaries go out the window. The children get hurt in the long run because I was unable to do so. I still say, what's the root of that cowardness? What's the root of that inability? But if you can't do it and you know that, what are you doing to get the help? What are you doing to get the help? Then there's the couple that says, I won't date at all. I'm gonna just wait till my kids are grown. That way I don't have to worry about who I bring around them. They make that ultimate sacrifice, 18 years, right? And so I'm not gonna have anyone around me because I want my kid to have. I want them to be safe. The question is, well, go
Yeah,
ahead.
go ahead. No, you
No,
go
go ahead,
ahead.
go ahead, go ahead. What
No,
are you gonna say?
you.
No, you go.
I want to see if you were going to say what I was thinking.
A nice try, but go.
I was going to say, but, which of course is commendable. And I think too, like, let's say you have 3 kids and the
Mhm.
dad isn't helping or whatever, then yeah, you should probably focus. But do you also not trust yourself in
Mm,
your selection and
mm.
in setting those boundaries?
I'm talking to my women today.
Oh, okay. But in setting those boundaries, so when you are, that's why you don't want to date. So it's almost like to avoid even, the risk, I'm just gonna wait until they're
Mm-hmm.
18.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you
I'm
were
going to
gonna
wait
say?
till they deal with to the 18. I don't like the pressure that comes from the kid because I actually put a lot of power. I put a lot of eggs in the kid's basket. So they play a
Mm.
role in my decision making. They
Oh,
play a role in
interesting.
my sense of satisfaction and joy, and if I'm a good parent or not. So if my son says, I don't like him, if my daughter says, I don't like her. So my level of satisfaction is based on what they believe and how they feel. But where's the middle ground in that? When do we sit down and say, yeah, but I don't want to stay single? Can we give it, where's that conversation?
Yeah.
Then there's a
Oh,
certain
yeah.
sweet spot
Yeah.
clinically, psychologically, there is a sweet spot where girls are attracted to their fathers and super protective. I don't mean like trying to date them, and just very super protective, and they are like attracted to their father and that whole intimate, not sexual, but
Yeah.
that whole intimate
Yeah.
relationship. Boys with mothers. Then
Yeah.
you grow out of that. You grow out of that.
Right.
But if they're in that stage and you're trying to date, and your daughter's like, I don't like her, and your son is like, hell no, right? If they're in that
Right.
stage, you have to recognize that. And then what's that conversation like? Do I wait for them to grow out of that stage? How do I work with them on it? And that's what we have to be careful of the husband, son husbands, and the wife and the daughter wives, where we're more
Mm.
into what they want than for our own level of satisfaction. And my happiness is determined on their approval. My happiness is based on their approval. And then we start switching roles. Those kids start feeling empowered and start making decisions for us. And how much are we thrusting them into that position? We have to be aware we are the ones thrusting the kid into that position. When we talk about kids don't listen to us anymore, I mean, yeah, there are kids who are learning from society, they're learning in
Right.
school, they're learning from social media. But at the end of the day, there's the other set of kids that say, yeah, we can have a million videos that I watch. I'm still not going to call my mama a bitch. I can have a million TikTok videos. I'm still not going to step up to my dad and be like, what?
Right.
So
Right. Right.
right? So we can
It,
have those outside influences, but how does the inside allow those outside influences to kick in and stay in? Those outside influences to kick in and to stay in. What were you going to say?
That's so good. Oh, that's so good. And it reminds me of, I think there was a Steve Harvey clip where he, I guess he made his kids, and I think Marjorie, I think that's his wife's name. I don't know if they weren't getting along or whatever, and they made him kind of like, and I think he said something like, well, I pay the bills, like, whatever, like, and it was a topic of discussion. And I think it's interesting, and it speaks to this. It's like, okay, but where is the line between your kids' happiness and what they think you is good or whatever, and where obviously they're not safe, that type of thing? It's like, yeah, if they're affected, and you got to be honest with yourself too. Like if you're not spending any time with your kid and things like that, then yeah, you got to take a look in the mirror. But if they're going to dictate what you do and who you're with, where does that end?
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, who's
Mm-hmm.
really in charge here?
Right. In the kid's defense, that new person, because we're not talking about people who are married and staying in the relationship, right? Because then mama and daddy's already there.
Right.
So, but in the kid's defense, this other person is interfering in my sense of security, but also my time and my. It's almost like a guy who has a woman and not locked up physically, but like he has his woman, like there's like keep her locked away, but then he's cheating and doing a bunch of different things, right?
Yeah,
So that kid who may not even be super involved with that parent, but they have that one parent who listens to them, believes in them, lets them kind of lead, and they're kind of locked away. And even though we don't have this like ongoing, like everyday checking in with each other, but you want who and what? Nah, we don't, and we don't get down with that. So again, recognizing your role as the parent and understanding their role as the kid, accepting and not just ignoring, all of their things and wants and desires, but how do you partner with that? But recognize your roles and your responsibility, their role as the kid and your responsibility, or their responsibility. All right.
I'm talking to my women today, especially my young women, because the kitty y'all know now is not the kitty that I used to be. I used to be dumb, stupid, slow, dunce. Okay, not too much on yourself, kitty. It doesn't matter what it is that you do. The more you hold on to that man, the more you hurting yourself. You so consumed with that man that you can't even see that he's your struggle. And if you can't see that he's your struggle, that means that you can't listen to the people who are trying to warn you that he's your struggle. You show up and you show up, you do more and more just to prove your worth to this man, just for him to love you. You sacrifice a bit of yourself each time that you are trying to prove to this man that you are worthy of his love. You crying and begging, asking yourself why, questioning your worth, because your worth has now become dependent on how much attention and time this man gives you. And the time and attention that he gives you is limited to maybe some back and forth text, maybe some sex. And when this man gets his fix, he dips. You think that man don't know what it is that he doing? A man who's played the game for so long, he knows when he has a woman's worth in his hand. He is playing you like a puppet, baby. And you acting crazy won't make him love you better. You want this man to love and respect you when you don't love and respect yourself. You showing him he don't have to give you nothing because you'll give yourself scraps so he can give you scraps. That's some desperate shit. How do you have a fear of losing people when you are dealing with someone who is purposely inconsistent with you? The only consistency that he shows is being inconsistent with you. This man is showing you that he'll leave as he pleases, and there is nothing that you can do to make him stay. This does not mean that you are not good enough. You're just not good enough for him, and that is okay. He does not want you on a deeper level, and that is okay. This man may not be ready. He may have commitment issues.
So let's pause it there.
Can I first say that I appreciate that she talked to herself, because I do that too sometimes, and people always roast me in the chat. Like, I'm like, Katie, like, chill, So I just want to say I appreciate her for that.
Absolutely, right? All right. So let's pause. What do people think? If you're in the chat and that made sense to you, if it hit home, if you know people who really struggle with that question, what am I doing? Why am I staying? How am I dealing with this? Do I deserve this? Am I missing something? Are the other people foolish for trying to tell me what to do, or do they have a good point? Right? What do people think about that? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm eager to see people's reaction and what they thought about that. And she said sacrificing a bit of yourself each time. In that if you're so invested in this relationship, or even maybe blinded, that you can't see what people are trying to tell you.
While they're putting that in there, I just want to say, give a shout out to Sir Hale. Sir Hale stopped by. Thank you for being here, sir. Sir Hale Thank you for being here. You already said hi to Jordan's World.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who else?
Jordan's World. Corey, did we say hi to Corey? Quincy's in the house. Thank you for being here. Thank you for stopping by. And who else?
Mr. Bennett.
Mr. Bennett's here. Yes, Mr. Bennett, welcome. Thank you for being here. T. Shaw's in the house. Thank you for stopping by. And I do see your question about the happiness with the kids. Hope I answered that, and Coach K can feel free to answer that as well.
Yeah. Little podcast. Beans was here.
Oh, a little podcast, yes, and he has a question which I will answer right after this piece right here. So thank you everyone for being here. Lost in Translations in the house. Thank you for swinging through. Please hit the like button. Please hit the like button and leave a comment. It definitely helps with the algorithms during the show and after the show. So thank you very much. Also, please let us know if that video, if it went too quick. I know she said a lot, and we have more to play, but we paused so people can actually let us know if you didn't catch it all. We can definitely play it one more time. While people are again putting answers in there, let's continue the rest of the video.
I'm talking to my women today, especially my young women, because the kitty y'all know now is not the kitty that I used to be. I used to be dumb, stupid, slow, dunce. Okay, not too much on yourself, kitty. It doesn't matter what it is that you do. The more you hold on to that man, the more you hurt yourself. You so consumed with that man that you can't even see that he's your struggle. And if you can't see that he's your struggle, that means that you can't listen to the people who are trying to warn you that he's your struggle. You show up and you show up, you do more and more just to prove your worth to this man, just for him to love you. You sacrifice a bit of yourself each time that you are trying to prove to this man that you are worthy of his love. You crying and begging, asking yourself why, questioning your worth, because your worth has now become dependent on how much attention and time this man gives you. And the time and attention that he gives you is limited to maybe some back and forth text, maybe some sex. And when this man gets his fix, he dips. You think that man don't know what it is that he doing? A man who's played the game for so long, he knows when he has a woman's worth in his hand. He is playing you like a puppet, baby. And you acting crazy won't make him love you better. You want this man to love and respect you when you don't love and respect yourself. You showing him he don't have to give you nothing because you'll give yourself scraps so he can give you scraps. That's some desperate shit. How do you have a fear of losing people when you are dealing with someone who is purposely inconsistent with you? The only consistency that he shows is being inconsistent with you. This man is showing you that he'll leave as he pleases, and there is nothing that you can do to make him stay. This does not mean that you are not good enough. You're just not good enough for him, and that is okay. He does not want you on a deeper level, and that is okay. This man may not be ready. He may have commitment issues. He still may be in his player phase. He may have other options, or simply he may just not want you, and that is okay. No one's gonna take you serious until you start taking yourself serious. And you chasing unavailable people tells everybody else that you take yourself as a joke. You chasing out of fear, and that is not okay. Whatever dream and vision you have created obviously is not the same vision that this man has. You all don't share the same vision. Get out of dreamland. He is not gonna wake up one day and say, hello world, I decided to be with this desperate woman who doesn't love herself. It sounds harsh, but it's the truth. Take that man off that pedestal. What Cole say? My ego gets stroked and I bruise him. I learned a long time ago from my uncles, from the OGs, that a man will commit when he is ready. Stop chasing that man. You're going to end up putting yourself in a position you don't want to be in, where this man finds a woman and he falls in love with her, he commits to her, and then you turn up to end up being the bitter ex-fling or the bitter baby mama. That label don't even sound right. Leave that man alone. Brought to you by a woman that used to be a dummy. No, but seriously, leave that man alone, girl. Go get you some Starbucks.
Now,
Lots there.
yeah, lots. But again, even though she was talking about men, please apply that if you're in the audience. Please apply that to your situation. If you're that guy who is committed to this woman who clearly is not, whatever you commit. So she was talking to men about to women about men. But I say, let that video apply to whoever, and whatever situation you have going on. Let that apply to you. If it's not a healthy situation, if they're playing you, if you're staying out of desperation, confusion, it plays a role. Where do I go? What do I do? And before I leave, I want to make sure. Before I leave, I want to make sure, Coach K, before I make this decision, I'm hiring you to tell me what to do. I want to make sure I'm making the right decision. Some people are dependent, right? Because we know about like finding the man or the payee or whatever we want to call it, the person, the breadwinner.
Mm.
Now, I say a person can leave that situation, regardless who the breadwinner is, if they're able to adjust to the lifestyle, right? So the lifestyle that you may go back to, or one that you've been away from for a while, there will be an adjustment period, and that's where you find the comfort. Would it be in the person? But I'm already torn up about the person. So now I have to find comfort in what that adjustment might be versus staying stuck because of the fear of that adjustment. But it's not easy. It is not easy to make that adjustment.
No.
What are your thoughts on the video or what she was saying?
Well, I will first say if a client asks me what to do, I'm going to tell them I'm not going to tell you what to do because I don't know what you should do. You know better than anyone else what to do in your situation. And also, too, if I tell you what to do, is that a means of comfort to you if it works out or if it doesn't? Then you can say, well, this person said for me to do it, then it's okay, or whatever it is. But so I took some notes when I watched it. My initial thing, because there were a lot of good points there. Some things I disagree with, but of course, it depends on the context of the person's relationship in that situation. But in this, let's say, situation she's describing, this isn't necessarily a problem with the guy.
Mhm.
He may be a not a very good guy, whatever. But if she's trying to prove her worth, that's a her problem in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
And with my client, we're not going to try and change him because it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
We can't change other people. Especially too, even if we did change, what's going on in her mind? Like we said, you take your mind with you.
Mm-hmm.
That speaks to, leaving, but we'll get to that. She said sacrificing a bit of yourself each time. But if you're doing that, and let's say at the end of the day, you don't really want to be sacrificing, those little parts of you, the longer you stay, and this is someone you don't want to stay with, are you actually sacrificing you? Is that actually you? Because if you don't actually want to stay, then who's actually staying then? Doesn't sound like that's authentically you.
Mm-hmm.
So if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I did agree with her saying, like, giving yourself scraps. Yeah, because if you're, taking, you're deciding to be with this person, well, that's kind of how you're treating yourself too. Like if you're being with someone who treats you that way, we have choices here in everything that we do. But and then I'll end with this. If she leaves this man, this hypothetical situation of who she was describing, or if that guy leaves this woman, what changes?
Mm.
Is her worth? Is she going to know her worth now? I mean, she was already trying to prove it anyway. Remember what we've been saying this whole time? Happiness does not come from the object, whether that be a person in this scenario or the car or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So if she does leave, what changes? And she said, get out of dreamland. He's going to wake up one day and all automatically just feel, recognize her worth. But you're also not going to wake up one day and just recognize your worth. That's the work you have to do. So I'll end with that.
Coach K, how do I know my worth? I live in a society where I have to deal with racism, of people telling me I'm less than. How do I know my worth? I go every single day and give 110% to an organization where I don't know if they even give a shit about me. How do I know my worth when the laws that are designed don't go against me personally, but damn, I have to make sure that I fit in this box. I have to make sure I fit into what society says is okay Because if they don't think it's okay, then it's deviant. Why do I have to be the crazy one? Why do I have to be the one that has to bow down? Why do I have to be the bigger man? Why do I have to be the one to accept the other people's conditions? Why can't my conditions matter? How do I know if I'm worthy if I'm constantly dealing with all these different things in my life? How do I determine worth?
You don't have to. These things that you're dealing with, you don't have to.
But I
And
want to. I want to. I want to be in a committed relationship. I want someone to love me. I want someone to lay with at night. I want someone to listen to me. I want someone to talk to. I want to feel good like the people who I see in the commercials on Valentine's Day, on holidays and family and friends. I want to have kids who look up to me. I want to have a legacy to pass on. I want us to pray together. I want to be seen by the Almighty Lord as someone who's been favored in his eyes. I want, I want, I want. But when you say, well, I really don't have to, but I feel like if I feel like, excuse me, I feel there's a belief, there's a feel like if I don't, then I'm less than. So I'm most likely to settle or accept just so I can believe that I'm happy.
And while that may, in beliefs, definitely feel like it's our coding, our DNA, like it's written in a way it is, right? But that's not the truth. It just feels, it
Feels
feels
that
like
way.
the truth.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Here's the truth. I don't want to be around no damn kids. I'd rather be single. I look at my brothers and sisters who have kids and they have a bunch of problems. I look at the people who are married and they are resenting being married. And to get out of it is like murder. You have to wait to do this. You have to wait to do that. You have to sign up on the paperwork. You have to get a lawyer. Who's paying for all this? To be honest, I'm good on my own. I hear people saying I have to have someone. All I have to do is stay black and die. Listen, I am cool with the status that I have. I have my job. I'm saving money. I have my vehicle. I don't need people in it making it a mess. Even in a chaotic situation, I know where I put stuff. I don't have anyone coming in there messing with stuff, moving stuff around. I don't have anyone expecting me to recognize when they did something special. Did you notice I put up the you did all that? Okay, yay, good for you. I'm not expected or locked down to live my life according to how someone else wants me to live. I'm good.
If you like those reasons, sir, if you like those reasons, because of course you can keep those reasons, but those reasons are optional. And of course, like it depends on where the conversation goes. Let's say if you're my client, but it sounds like fear. And do you like those reasons? These are possibly the worst case scenario, but have you also considered the best case scenario or a better case scenario? But again, if you like those reasons, then that's good. But it sounded like that did not sound like a person who likes their reasons.
Now, I'm good with my reasons. I'm good with my reasons. What did it sound like? I was making excuses.
It sounded like fear. It sounded like, it's so interesting because I hear a lot of people talk about it like this, but it sounds like a bunch of fear, while I can still agree with you that these are possible. But if you are driving a car, it's also possible that you're going to get in a car wreck. So are you telling me you're not going to drive a car ever?
Right. So anything's possible.
And you get to decide how you want to look at it. Because I love this example, a rock, whatever type of rock, because we could say pebble, stone, whatever. A rock is beautiful. A rock could also be dangerous. They're both true. Which one do you want to focus on?
They are.
The dangerous side or the beautiful side?
But when I focus on the beautiful side, then I get a lot of pushback with others who are determined to make sure that I know I'm a bad person. Do you think I'm a bad person, Coach?
No, and no one can make you do that.
Yeah. Would you be willing to be my girlfriend?
No, because I'm married.
Oh, so right. But check this out.
Wait. Yeah, go ahead.
Your no confirms your no is just your no. I have to be
But to you,
understanding.
yeah.
Right. It's just a no. What happens is I layer that on top of the other
As
no's
evidence.
as evidence that, see, now of course I've got you in the catch-22 because you're providing a professional service as my
Mm-hmm.
coach, and then
Mm-hmm.
I'm adding my value. I'm creating this value system that says, if you're willing to date, since I'm not such a bad person,
Right.
would you be willing to date me? So when you say no, I add that later.
Right.
Now, you are not responsible for me doing that, because some people will see, I just tried.
Right.
See, right? So, coach, you're not responsible for the way I receive or perceive that response. I'm
Right.
responsible for recognizing your no doesn't reject me as a person. Your no, one, we have a professional relationship. Two, you're married, you're not going to violate that. Three, you're not my rescue person. You're not my one to prove that I'm a good person. All of a
Right.
sudden now I want to date you because you found value in me. But many people put that responsibility on people almost to prove, well, you don't think I'm a bad? No, you're good. Then why don't you be with me? What? Time out.
Right.
Time
And
out.
then putting it in that person's hands.
Yes. Right? And I mean, even in committed relationships. So let's say we're already committed, but now I've lost the spunk or the motivation or things have changed. And you're like, what happened? And I'm like, well,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. You tell me. I mean, look at the way you look at me now. Look at the way you look at me now. Am I supposed to feel motivated? Am I supposed to feel good about myself that my own woman is looking at me with disgust? So again, I'm putting that back in your lap and making it your responsibility to kind of let me know that I'm okay,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not okay.
Correct. And if, the question is like, well, would you date me? And I say no, that no is the rock in the situation. Do you want to decide that it means this, or do you want to decide that it means this? And I will say that when I learned this, I guess, concept of breaking it down and questioning your beliefs and your thoughts, I realized where my power lies the entire time when I was giving it away to other
Mm-hmm.
people. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't realize it, but it's like, wow, I get to decide what I want to make this mean. And guess what? When I decide, excuse me, when I decide that it means this, I'm probably going to feel a different way and behave a different way, probably.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's your decision?
Some people will find happiness or power in that situation. They'll find happiness and power in, if I'm able to break you, if I'm able to get you to change your mind. I either stop coming to the sessions with you, right? Oh, I noticed you haven't been, because remember, I'm not good enough to be with you. Why am I spending money to have you as my coach? Wow, really? Or I do continue to show up, but I show up with the intent on trying to convert you. I show up with the intent on trying to convince you to, and then if I can't break you, then I demonize you. But that goes back to your point from the very beginning. Those are the excuses,
Mm-hmm.
right? You won't agree with me that I shouldn't live. I should be able to delete myself as my body, my mind. Why do you even care? I'm just another client. I'm just another payment for you. Why do you even care?
Right. Right.
Right? So when you say you do care, then if I flip it again, well, since you care so much, why won't you be my woman? Or why won't you, if I saw you out in the middle of the street and you say you won't speak to me because of confidentiality, how's that showing care about me?
That's good. I want to ask, what did you think about the video, though?
I love the video in the sense that she's saying what I take away from it. First of all, she's saying from her personal experience, she stayed too long. But also,
Mm-hmm.
am very cautious when people talk about their personal experience and then place expectations on others to be able to do the same. So what I liked about what she did is she was actually able to put out there the elements, the elements. It wasn't just I was in this happened to me, this happened to me. This was, if this is happening, that's probably a red flag. If this is happening, in fact, she didn't even use the word red flag. If this is happening, what do you feel that inside? Is that a good feeling? Is that what you want? Is that what you signed up for? I like the fact that she not only broke it down to say, how are they valuing you? Is that a relationship you want to be in? Now, it might be one you are in and you're making the sacrifices. Is that one you want to be in? Do you want to have that daily struggle? Challenges for those who like that. Remember that procrastination? Remember that feel good? So the problem is those who actually do like that.
They don't want it to be boring.
They don't want to be boring. They love the fight that you put in to keep me. The fact that you deal with me. There's the person who has an injury and you have to get a wheelchair ramp at the home, and you help me daily with, bathing and helping me in wheelchair. Wow, you did that for me. It means that psychological, you put up with my stuff. And if you don't, I challenge you to make you seem like you're the bad person.
You don't love me enough or something.
Yes, we call that gaslighting, but really what I took away from her video, she's saying recognize when, hello, I'm not really the problem, and why am I staying in this? What am I trying to prove? What am I afraid of? And then also recognize how much is that person kind of, that yo-yo, the yo-yo up and down.
Yeah.
How much am I getting that yo-yo treatment? 1 minute you hated me, the next minute you love me, 1 minute you're mad at me, the next minute how much of that is that yo-yo? And when do you recognize enough's enough and I gotta go? Corey, how many times have we heard about, look, he is happy, he is no longer in that marriage. That relationship no longer served him. And when we get to the point where we can no longer function psychologically, mentally, physically, when we can't function, we can't breathe in the relationship, that's a clear sign that I don't need to risk any more of my time and my health or my wellness to stay in this relationship. When you're able to recognize it, and as you were saying, if she was saying also, if you need to get out, that's not always a bad thing. Now, there's marriage vows and principles and all that stuff. Absolutely make efforts to not break God's law or even human law. Make those efforts. What efforts did you make? Not just run out because you're not happy. But once you put in those efforts, if you've done the counseling, if you've gone to the clergy to say, hey, we need support, if you've gone to the women's group or the men's group, if you talk to the brothers, if you've done the work and you recognize that we can't repair the damage that's done, we can't really move forward because we're stuck. Can you take a break? What does a break look like? What do we need to restructure? And again, what belief system am I operating on? If I failed you, are you operating on the belief system that everyone fails you and now I'm in that bucket? Why'd you put me in that bucket? I thought you were different. I thought you were special. I thought. So you've been lying to yourself because what proof and evidence do you have that I was doing that to you? I thought, well, I already know, so I'm projecting. It's like a movie. I'm watching the movie and I already know the end of the movie. I already know the credits. I'm projecting. I'm future forecasting. I have black or white thinking. It must be this. It must be that. There's no gray. I'm over catastrophizing. Everything is just horrible, horrible, horrible. Woe is me. Woe is me. Woe is me. This is some bullshit. So I'm doing all these. I have all these thought distortions. I have all these thought errors. These are errors in my thinking. I might have some proof and evidence to a few pieces of it, but then I created my own kind of project. And is that project my reality?
And highlighted the whole world, pretty much.
Yes. Anyone coming up for us?
That's so good. And I think too, because obviously if you're not happy in a relationship, whatever's going on, not compatible, you do take your mind with you, but also too, again, I want to emphasize some things you don't want to be happy about. You don't want to accept. And like she said, that's okay.
Yes.
That doesn't mean you have to hate the person to leave or, feel like clean up your mind first. Really know what you're leaving, I guess, like why you're leaving. And even earlier when we were saying like, the things that you want and don't want and why. But leaving from a clean place so that you're not, what do they call that, monkey branching, I think, like where they say,
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's what happens too, when people do that. And it's still gonna hurt, of course. I mean, hey, prototype dad.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey. Fabulous. And yourself?
Oh, pretty good, man. I can't complain.
Good. Just before you cook or talk about whatever you're going to bring to the show, welcome. Please just put a note in there that we were asking for couples, but no one came up. So please, whoever else wants to come up, please do. We are going to cap this in about 15 minutes, just so you know, we cap it in about 15 minutes. And then Coach K, to my final response to what you were saying, to a limit, because it goes back to what you were saying at the beginning. If I'm using these as the excuses, so I'm unhappy and I'm unwilling to make those changes, and I'm cool with that. Like, I'm cool with not having to make these changes that the world wants me to make, and I don't have to stay, and that's okay. But then at some point we need to recognize where we've repeated these excuses. We've repeated this allowance. Like, it's no longer just kind of like, I don't want to do it. It's really like, whoa, so you've been in 5 relationships. The common denominator with all 5 relationships is X, Y, and Z. You're not willing to do the work. No one can force you. Okay. But at what point do you recognize I have some work to do? Because just saying out loud, I don't understand. Everyone I get was no one. Everyone thinks, well, that's cool. That's their problem. It is. But at some point, when do you change?
And
Prototype. Go ahead. What'd you say, Coach?
Well, and that individual is the one that suffers ultimately, if we want to be honest. But anyway, what you got?
Prototype, welcome. What do you bring to the conversation? They call me Victor Stone.
So we're talking about breaking the cycle, right?
Yes, breaking the cycle. Tonight's cycle is really about relationship happiness. At some point, either you're happy or you're not happy. Is it your partner's responsibility to make you happy? And at what point do you say enough's enough? I'm not going to be happy. I'm not leaving the situation because I'm not happy. I'm out of the situation because I'm no longer safe.
So the question is, who's responsible for making each other happy?
Well, if you want, who's responsible? At what point do you recognize you can no longer do it?
I think I said the same point as last time, right? Is if a man thinks of himself as a company, right, and making your employees happy, that's, I mean, you could do what you could do, right? You could have the best benefits, and you could have unlimited PTO, you could have all types of stuff, and you're gonna do what's best for your company. And some people will be happy and some people won't. You know what I'm saying? So some people will find problems with your company, and some people will be like, man, this is the best company ever.
Do you change your policies to make a few happy, to reach out to everyone to be happy?
It depends. No, you do what you can do until you can do better, right? So, if you're a startup, hey, this is what you got going on, and as you grow as a company and you're no longer a startup, and you can provide better benefits and XYZ. People are going to leave, people are going to stay. Some people are going to ride it from start to finish. You know what I'm saying? Some people are just loyal like that. So, you can't really worry about who's going to be happy and how to make people happy. You could just provide the best package you can as a company.
Can I outgrow you? So, because what you just said made me think, he's not here, but it makes me think of a comment one of our one of BMU's followers. If I get to the point where we're a company and we're growing and we're doing better, but you've gotten so comfortable and you don't grow with me. So we have this relationship together and I got to the point where I'm growing. Isn't that the term? Grow with me. You weren't growing anymore.
We are build, yeah.
You were, right? Build, let's build, let's build. And I feel like you're
Yeah.
not building with me. So then
Well,
what?
I think this is common, right? Think about it. Most men, as they progress, right? The second wife is always a little hotter, is always a little smarter. You know what I'm saying? Is always a little better than the first one. So, you know, you think about it like that. Sometimes the second wife is the one that makes you happier.
Right. But that first wife, what about me leaving because you're not growing and building with me?
I don't think there's a problem with that.
Okay.
And how do we gauge that, I would say?
I mean, you gauge it based off of as you're growing in these circles, these, you know, because as you grow as a company and you start bumping shoulders with different people in different circles, right? You're going to be looking for people to satisfy the needs of the company. You know what I'm saying? So if this person no longer is benefiting the company, then it's time to move on.
Now, you're talking just because a company, I work for you and I can always come and go whenever I want, pending the state's laws, if you can let me go whenever you want. Relationship and especially marriage.
I don't change that. I don't change it.
Okay.
I mean,
So,
I think of men as companies. You know what I'm saying? And the people you have around, the, you know, other men or your, you know, other companies that you might merge with or do business with, you know, that kind of thing, partnership. And the women that come in and out of your life, you know, those are essentially, you know, your VPs, your managers, so on and so forth. Your family is a company.
so once you sign, oh, go ahead, Coach.
No, you this time.
Prototype. Once you sign your VP, like sign them to the contract, you're growing. So this wife, now you're married, and they no longer just whatever. They're not fitting the description that you had, the job description. They're no longer fitting that for whatever reason. Is that a let go? Is that a reason to let go? Is that a reason to move on? Do you have any type of encouragement going on? What do you do?
I mean, you try to work with them and, you know, do the best you can. But at some point, there's nothing you can do. Oh, this person's not growing. I did everything I can. That's it.
Okay.
Well, I think this is interesting, and I don't know. Hopefully, I'm not getting off into like a different like area because obviously we're looking at this. What is this? Is this a metaphor? Is that right?
Yeah.
Or analogy or whatever.
Yeah.
I always mix them up, but like, you know, if you guys know of Jocko is willing, you know, he's the Navy SEAL or whatever. He talks about leadership, and gosh, I hate using the buzzwords from this space, but where the leader will take ownership for the failures of training the team. So, and he talks a lot about workspaces. That's why I bring this up. So what would you say, you know, in terms of that, like where does then the CEO of the company take, instead of getting, you know, a new VP, where does he, what
Oh,
line
he
is
takes
there?
complete responsibility. Yeah, because I mean, I look at it as he was unable to train or unable to coach. He's not a good leader. You know what I mean? Or the person he's trying to train, coach, or whatnot, wouldn't take to a style. You know, but you got to vet accordingly. You know what I'm saying? So you know, hire slow, fire fast, kind of a situation. You know what I mean?
I
So
like that vetting. Yes.
if you vet across, you know what I mean, if you vet before you hire, like some companies have 3, 4, 5 interviews, the good ones. You know what I mean? Some companies you got to have good credit. You can't have no debt. Can't have no federal, you know, no federal debt. You know, you can't have this. And you think like, why does my credit matter? It's a job, right? But some companies, you know, they look at those things as reasons to hire you and not to hire you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you gotta do the due diligence, and it depends on what kind of company or you.
I like that. Coach, in my private practice, one of the things I do for couples, new couples or people wanting to be together, is called a psychological DNA. So getting together to look at the psychological DNA of which if we should be together. So someone who would be opposed to prototype style or method or understanding what the potential is, the potential risk, the potential benefit. I'm gonna put it in a positive, like the potential benefit of me moving forward and you keeping up. Like we grow together. The also potential benefit for me is I'm not going to keep dead weight. I'm not going to keep something that's going to hold me down or stuck or trapped, the feeling of trapped. So in that vetting process, if I'm the person who I'm learning about prototype, I would actually be listening for people who don't stay still or stuck or like that feeling of trapped. That means they have the potential to move on without me, without even a heartbeat. I mean, like boom, because survival and moving forward and growth is the priority. My feelings of happiness, my love and all that, that's secondary. So knowing how to ask those questions, I love what you said, prototype, being able to vet the person and look for this stability, but also looking at what are they able to sustain? Is this a person I want to invest in? Is this a person who I think, and if they shift, because I can't control their shifting. If they shift, I still know what my agenda is, and I still know what I need to do.
Right.
And I do that confidently. It's not about hurting feelings. It's about when you sign up in an interview, when you did the interview, and great job, you passed 5 interviews, impressed everyone. But
Right.
if you don't then sustain what you were talking about, and that value shifts,
it'll naturally fall apart.
mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
it's nothing that you even gotta force. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like as you
Mm-hmm.
grow, like you'll start to go here, be here, and you know what I mean, do different things. And this person's
Mm-hmm.
not with you.
The
Eventually, there's
foundation.
gonna be some turbulence. It's gonna fall apart.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
the foundation can't withstand it. And also too, when you were saying, Dr. Nakumbe, about prototype saying his vetting, I think it was interesting because it's like going back to earlier when we were talking about the meaning and what you are interpreting and your belief system. If
Mm-hmm.
you are, let's say, interviewing, or we'll say even like dating someone who is saying, because I know prototype's married, so we'll say someone who is like that, saying what prototype is saying. Well, what do you, as the potential, I don't know, girlfriend or whatever, make that mean what he said? Because you have options. We can make it mean the worst possible thing, or we can make it mean the best thing, and that's someone we're interested in. Of course,
Right.
like that doesn't mean you have to be down for like what his goal is or his
Mm-hmm.
plan. But again, you get to decide what you're interpreting with what he says, when you're
Mm-hmm.
listening and asking those questions and getting those answers.
Right.
I
That
think
makes
there's plenty of women who would look at a guy with great purpose and be like, nah, I'm not. That's not for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like you see it all the time. Like if a guy um is fit, right? She's gonna look at him like, oh, you probably eat right, this, that, you know what I mean? I want to eat cheesesteaks every day. That's not gonna work for me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Or
Right.
you're gonna
And that's
require me to do
interesting.
more work than I really want to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
So a lot of girls like guys that they're better than. You know what I mean? Just because they don't have to, the guy looks at them like the greatest thing since sliced bread, and they're not forced to change any more greater than what they've already accomplished.
It's
Right.
like a mirror if you think about it, because if they are with someone who doesn't make them feel uncomfortable, well, they feel uncomfortable with because he's, let's say, sloppy eating, sloppy whatever, then it's a mirror. Then it matches with what I already feel about myself.
Mm-hmm.
Then I don't have
Mm-hmm.
to change, or nor do I want to change. But if you do, let's say, go for someone who does eat clean, well, then you're gonna be face to face with that, if it's shame or whatever it is, and what you're gonna have to do to improve, or eat clean, or this is all
Mm-hmm.
hypothetical, but that's what I love about relationships, because they do reveal your thinking about yourself.
Some people put that, you know what, how they put it? They put it as, what's your deal breaker? Right. They say,
Mm.
what's your deal breaker? Like, what do I have to? And then there are people who actually hear your deal breakers, and if they feel, back to that woman who may feels like, yeah, right, that's not good. You want me actually more than I want you. So yeah, you don't like people who smoke weed. Well, or the product or whatever,
Mhm.
I'm going to do that every once in a while.
You
About
know,
I don't really.
something interesting on
Mhm,
how I know my wife was someone I should consider seriously.
Mhm.
When I met her, um, we're going over things that we eat or whatever. Like I don't eat pork.
mhm,
So as we're talking, she's like, "Oh yeah, I make a mean pork chop," and I'm like, I don't eat pork."
Mhm.
I mean, it's a deal
Pork chop.
breaker for
I
long
like it.
term for me, right? But
right.
at
Mhm.
that time, at that stage of my life, I'm out here, so I don't really
Mhm,
care. And
Mhm.
then we were like at a party or something, and somebody asked her if she wanted like a hot dog or something like that. And her response
Mhm.
was, "I don't eat pork," and I was
mm,
just like,
Mhm. Yeah.
I had to ask her. I ain't put her on the spot then, but I asked her later, like,
right.
when you stop eating pork?
Right, right,
When you said
right.
you don't eat pork?
Right.
Oh, okay. This is
She shifted and she
Mhm,
noticed, and she
yeah.
was like, "Okay, this is something I'm with because this is what he does. This is a hard no for him." So
Coach
I
and
like that.
prototype.
Yeah.
Yeah, both of you question. With that scenario or that example you gave, wife is adjusting to husband's needs. Does that work the other way around? Is that
No,
is that about a woman's role or her position or her? Does that work the other way around?
like a man adjusting to his wife.
Yep. So going
No.
into it, and if she says, "I don't do," I do pork chops, and so that's what we'll be having.
Interesting story. My dad didn't eat pork, right?
Mhm.
Um, when he got married, uh, one day I seen him eating pork, and I was like, "Yo, when you start eating pork?" And he's like, "Oh, she eat pork, so I started eating pork." They were divorced.
Some guys do. You'll see
Oh,
that,
yeah.
like, not with the eating, but, like, with politics or something or religion. Some
Mhm.
guys, you know what I mean? Which is
Yeah.
but yeah, that's interesting.
We don't
So
celebrate
he can't.
Christmas.
If you
Next thing
see a
you know,
man, conforming to a woman, then
mhm,
you know what I mean. That's not going to work. But the tricky thing is your woman conforming to you it's a lifelong journey.
mm,
You know what I mean? Like I've been married 9 years now,
mhm,
and she still is working on becoming my wife. You know what I
mm,
mean? Like there's still things that later on I'll be like, you look like my wife today. Like you know what I'm saying? Because she's did
Mhm.
mhm,
something new, different that
mhm,
is me. You
mhm,
know what I mean? Or she said something I would say, and I was just like, you thinking like me? Like you know what I mean? So it's like
mhm.
that's her
Yeah.
conforming, but it takes time, and I think
Okay.
people just give up too early.
Well, you don't stay the same, as an individual, you grow, you change and likewise, is still adapting or whatever. I would say though, and I know it's about time, but as a woman, whatever, but I think a guy still gets to decide if he wants. So let's say, okay, this is really an exaggeration, but let's say this guy is with, or his wife is eating cleaner, like she's working on her water intake, and he should be working on his water intake too. And she's like getting on a program and trying to help him with his water, let's say. Is that conforming to her, or is he just deciding as the man that he wants to be better about his water? I don't know if that's like if that's apples and
So I
apples, but
mean, you should bring in people into your company that's going to help you, right? Like,
mhm.
for me, before I got married, I lived out of my laundry basket. Like I would wash clothes, and what I'm
Oh
saying, I would
my
wash
god,
my
that
clothes,
drives
but I
me
would just live
nuts.
out my laundry. I never folded
Yeah.
clothes. So I knew that was something that I needed, a woman that's going to come in and organize
Right.
clothes. Like, you know what I mean? And that
Right.
was one of the things that, do this person do this? And that even like it's not natural for her to come in and do that. I had to communicate that to her, like, hey, I need you to do this.
Mm,
Mhm.
So that's two
Mhm.
things, people think that we should naturally do, like women's going to naturally do things, but men have to learn how to communicate all their
mm.
needs. And it's
There's million
frustrating, and
dollars.
that's what makes it
Mhm,
such a long process is
mhm,
things you thought you didn't have to communicate, you have to communicate.
mhm.
That's the big piece
Right? Isn't
that I
that the $1
think
million piece right there? Yes.
relationships don't work because, and I was guilty of this at the beginning, thinking that this is just how it's supposed to be. This is just normal. But that goes back to the conditioning, the belief system that you think that this is just what you do. This is just, but that's not the case. And you're trying, this person's not a mind reader. You're acting like an a-hole, and both of you aren't getting what you want. Just speak up.
You have to, right? And it's even when I get mad at, like, if she did something or didn't do something that I needed her to do, if I haven't communicated it, I would be pissed about it. But then I would think to myself, well, I didn't communicate that to her. I only could be mad at myself for not saying it.
Like the CEO.
Exactly.
So what would you?
Go ahead, Dr. Nakumbe.
I'm sorry. Question. So what would you say? Because if I going into the conversation, it'll be easy for me to be like, oh, yes, sir, you're the boss, you're the man, you can leave me. I'm just kind of screwed. I better bow down. I'm a woman. I'm less than. Caveman mentality, right? So what would you say to our listeners? Like, how do you take this modern whatever, and how do you take the traditional whatever? How do you make that work? What's that conversation about? Well, one, you just mentioned communication. Well, what do you suggest?
I don't really think there's a such thing as a modern woman. I think women are women, and they've always done what's best for them. That's just the reality. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I posted before. Like a woman's just going to buy into whatever. Oh, I get some resources off of this. I'll give you whatever you want. And I think most women will do that, if you're the guy that they can believe in. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really think there's a such thing as this modern women. I think women always been women, and they just do what's best for whatever's going on at the time. There's a reason why, even if you think in pre times, like, they wouldn't kill the women, they would adjust because women would conform. They would leave the women alive. You know what I'm saying? Take over the nation, kill all the men, leave the women alive, and and the women would conform to whatever's going on and whoever just got conquered. So I don't think this modern woman thing is really real. I just women just do, and they always will do what's best to live.
Right.
With or without a man.
With or without, with or without a man, So
I think that's the modern aspect, is the without man, because before that was impossible.
It wasn't impossible. I mean, why you think there was harlots? You know what I mean? So
Well,
and the ones that weren't, it's always about resources. Where's the resources coming from? So if that's the only way they can see themselves making money or surviving, finding a guy who could pay a couple bills here and there and moving on, being a harlot, that's what they did. You know what I mean? I don't think it's a modern thing.
Yeah, but women don't even have to have a man to live. Like, they don't even have to have a guy pay their bills. Like, they can make their own money. You know what I mean? What about that?
Look, you guys survive. You know what I'm saying? So if they
yeah.
realize that guys, they can't find a guy that's going to pay for them, the less attractive women, right? Like, they know, okay, I'm never going to get a woman. I'm never going to get a man, to pay my bills or do this. I have to learn some skills. You know what I mean? It's attractive people aren't normally the most successful.
Yeah, I mean, there could possibly something to that. I think that now we're at a point where that we don't have to survive anymore. We're not in the primitive times where now it's like we get to optimize our well-being because we have all of our needs met. So now, but otherwise, I don't think women would be able to do that. If that makes sense.
I think it's still survival mode. You acting like there's not homeless people. There's plenty of women on the street. Plenty of men on the street. Yeah, there's plenty of people on the street, homeless. You know what I'm saying? Everybody don't get their needs met.
Yeah. I mean, this is definitely interesting. Something that I could definitely go on about, but I'm with you for the most part.
Okay.
We went. Yep. Final thoughts.
Any final thoughts you might have for the show, sir?
No,
This
other
topic.
than men just need to be accountable and stop expecting women to be accountable. And the moment
Mm-hmm.
we do that, we'll be much better off.
Mm-hmm. What does that
Okay.
mean? What does that mean? Just so for clarity, what does it mean?
Well, women cannot take accountability, so they can't. I don't want to say they struggle with it. They don't do it. You know what I mean? So if you ask a woman why'd you do this, they was like, but they did it, so I did it. You know what I mean? So it's never an accountability thing. And once we like, oh, they just can't do it. It's not in them to be accountable. It's kind of like if your employee doesn't learn the skills, who's at fault? You as the CEO. You didn't teach your employee how to do the job correctly.
Right. Right. Okay. Salute to
So
you, sir. Thank you for coming up. Much appreciate your
Yes. Thank you.
insight.
Yes. Join us
Appreciate it. We'll catch
anytime.
you around. Thank you.
Thank you.
Coach K, what are your thoughts? I'm glad he came up.
Yes.
I like
Very
his
interesting.
perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. I do like discussing within the framework of a company and the CEO or the boss or whatever. Of course, not 100% the same, but I still think the dynamic is very interesting to kind of look at as far as duty goes and things like that. But in closing, I think this is a great conversation. And in terms of deciding if you're going to leave because of not being happy, I would question, what does that mean? It's going to look different for everyone. Know your reasons for why you want to leave or why you want to stay, because I'm going to remind you, you're going to take your brain with you. So if there's a problem here because of possibly miscommunication, what you're believing, it's going to show back up most likely. So and again, this is the best news because you're bringing back the power and the responsibility into your own hands versus waiting on someone else to be perfect or to fix it all for you, because it doesn't happen that way anyway. So this is all great news.
Right.
That's all I got.
Awesome. I would say define what happiness is for you. As an individual, what is happiness for you? And also have an understanding of what other people can bring to you that adds to your happiness. So you can have a partner that actually helps to bring or heighten or raise or grow, whatever you want to call it. They add to your happiness. But at the end of it, as Coach K said earlier, you have to understand where your codependency lies. You have to understand your ability to still function if that level of happiness that they brought to the relationship is no longer there. So understand your happiness. Understand what others can bring to you that equals happiness. Understand if you're actually past the moment of content, past the moment of satisfaction, joy, and all that, and you're actually going above. Notice when you're going for greedy. When you're going for greedy, notice when you are no longer happy because you have to work hard to keep or maintain what you consider to be happiness at first, and now it's a task and it's work. So it's no longer about happiness. It's about, I have to do X, Y, and Z in order to maintain this. So learn what that is. Also understand how you might play a role in bringing other people happiness. Be mindful of how selfish you might be. Please understand also, if you have a history of trauma or dealing with adverse childhood experiences, you have to understand your ability to give or pour into someone else might be impacted by your mental health. So you might want people to talk to you and you might invite people to have conversations with you, but the reality is 2 seconds into their conversation, you're already engaging in narcissistic behaviors, you're already engaging in personality disorders, and you're making it about you instantly before you even realize that. If you're unaware of that, you might wear out your partner who feels like, dang, it's always about you. And while you have a big silly grin on your face thinking, what's wrong? What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? It's so important for you to understand what your mental health situation is, as well as your mental wellness, your overall wellness, how you operate, what you eat, your sleep, the environment, your relationships at work, your relationships with your family, overall well-being. Check that out, because your mental health might be impacting the way you're able to operate and function in a relationship. You want people to pour into you, but you have an inability to pour into others because of other episodes in your life. So check that out. As far as staying, recognize when it's no longer safe for you to stay. When we're talking about marriages, when you make those vows and those commitments, you have to understand what that means. What does that mean? What are you taking with that? If you're saying to death do us part, what is your true commitment to that? Do you outgrow that? Do you let them go if they don't, through healthness, through sick and in health, right? So sick. And at the time of marriage, they may look healthy. So we haven't had the stimuli yet. We haven't experienced that vomiting. We haven't experienced those attitude and anger outbursts because they have an illness that they can't control and they're facing death in the eye, and you've not experienced that before. When do you abandon ship? But understand your ability to deal with those things before you invest in someone else's life. And you can say, well, I never was married before. I never dealt with someone's sickness before. What you do in one thing is most likely how you do in all things. Mm-hmm. How do you do with visiting your pops when he's sick? How do you do with brother or sibling or sister when they were sick? How did you do? I stayed out of the way. How you do one thing will be how you do all. Down the road, most likely with your partner, you are going to stay out of the way. I'm the super caretaker. I was the main one doing everything. Then most likely you will be the one making sure your partner is taken care of. Know that going into the relationship so you're not wasting other people's time and your time.
Bingo.
All right. Cool. Let's wrap it up. Thank you everyone for being here. Please remember to like the button, press the like button, leave a comment after the show as well. Pass this on to other people that you may know that may want to hear some tips about relationships, happiness, our perspectives on it. And we'll see you next week. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. And tomorrow is Friday. Please check out our barbershop. The barbershop next Monday. Monday is
it's security. He talks with security boss.
Yes. Check out Monday and subscribe so you can get the alerts. Mm-hmm. And I know some of the algorithms have been off, so please double check your alert button. Make sure that bell, the bell is shaded in.
Yeah, the notification.
And Tuesday is Talk That Talk Tuesdays.
Mm-hmm.
There's some very powerful conversations lately. Mm-hmm. Check that out. Wednesdays back to Mandrell and Shushu. And then we'll look forward to seeing you Thursday. Thank you for our moderators and CBN working the channels from behind the scenes. Thank you, Black Man Unfiltered, for allowing us space on the network. Coach K, it's always a pleasure and honor to work with you.
Likewise, Dr. Nakumbe.
All right.
All right. Have a good night.
Go. Fire by night and a pillar of vapor by day. Walk through the desert, but when you admire the light, see the villains are paper mache. I'm on the way to the promised land, no contraband. I'm an honest man, I'm coming. Y'all met me, I'm set free, playing my part like the Red Sea. Man, I'm from heaven, I'm here with my brother in the volumes 11, now we're getting rowdy. Swing from the sky.